Hello and welcome back. We're going to look at the opinion polls results for May in order to get an intuition of the mood in Russia, and we are going to also look at some of the most recent incidents involving drones. Mr. Putin approval ratings remain high, closely followed by the government. Approval of the decisions taken by the government as a whole remain high too. In fact, the response to "Is Russia moving in the right direction?" returns scores of above 60%. And now for a bit of background. May is a bit of a symbolic month in Russia. The May the 9th parades commemorates the Soviet Army and the Allies defeating Nazi Germany and ending the Second World War. The event is televised, and on Kremlin.ru, links below, you can watch the whole movie of the parade. Bit of warning, it is about 50 minutes long. A few days before the parade, on the 3rd of May, 2 drones came down in Moscow. One of them came down close to the Kremlin. How close, I cannot confirm. I watched the video and I will say it was not that close. And to me, it looked like the drone in the movie was experiencing a fault that caused it to crash. Since then, there have been more reports of drones in the few Russian news websites that I can access. Of course, I cannot access the blacklisted ones. After the latest volley of drones that came down in Moscow, President Putin gave an interview confirming a few things. Again, links below. A word of warning, if you choose to read the transcript or listen to the interview, you should keep in mind that this interview is for domestic consumption. Therefore, the thread on Ukraine and the West is designed to reinforce the official stand on the conflict. All that out of the way, Mr. Putin's words suggest, at least to me, that the Russian army ability to detect and bring down unmanned autonomous vehicles, or drones, is improving, and it is likely that more crushed drones they recover, the better they will get at disrupting the electronics. And to keep up with the clickbaiting theme, although it has been raining drones in Moscow, support for the state remains pretty solid. Since the beginning of May, drones have come down in other areas, mainly in the following regions: Belgorod Oblast, Bryansk Oblast, Crimea. These share a border with Ukraine and are quite close to the conflict. Krasnodar Krai in the North Caucasus opens up on the Sea of Azov and is close to Crimea. Smolensk and Kaluga do not share a border with Ukraine. And if we look at the damage caused by the drones in Moscow, for example, and compare it with damage caused in the Belgorod Oblast, and compare it to the damage caused to the, for example, a refinery in Krasnodar, I would suggest to you that there is more than one type of drone with more than one type of intent at work. During the war, there have been instances of drones hitting strategic assets. Let's use the popular term of kamikaze drones. But in other instances, the aim seemed to be intelligence gathering. Against this backdrop, it is worth checking out the Social Sentiment Index. And although this index range is between 0 and 200, it really never went above 100. To be precise, it hit 100 in March 2008. So the score of 95 achieved in May is close to as good as it gets in Russia. Additionally, the Levada Center has been recording people's trust in the president and other politicians, and the score for Mr. Putin has been creeping up. Let's draw some conclusions. Support for Mr. Putin and his government, according to the opinion polls, is good, and the AIs used by the Russian military are getting better at disrupting and detecting drones attacks. At this point, I need to add something else to do with AIs. AI models are used to perform sentiment analysis. For example, this paper mentioned sentiment analysis performed on Reddit comments, but this is just one of the models available, and other models have been tested on a number of other social media sites like Twitter, for example. And I want to mention this because people's feelings affect policy. If the mood is positive, in this case that Ukraine will win, for example, it is easier to approve more military and non-military aid. Whereas if the outlook is negative, it is harder for any government to justify further expense. And of course, if you can assess the mood, you can develop strategies to affect it. This goes for all the sides involved in any confrontation. Therefore, it is worth being a tad critical of what you hear or read, especially if it seems to be designed to trigger a knee-jerk emotional response. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.